Hi, I'm Alex Guns, the fund manager of the Heptagon Future Trends Equity Fund, and I'm here today to talk to you about drones. We've been following the theme of drones for about a decade by now, and it's always really interesting when you look at a trend when it actually moves out of that hype phase into that reality phase. And I think really for the first time in about a decade, we're at that cusp now in terms of a revolution, in terms of how both goods and people can be transported. And the reason why this is now incredibly relevant is that the costs of both the hardware and the software that can really sustain the drone industry have come down to such a level that this actually can be a meaningful growth opportunity. I think the best way, or one of the best ways in which to characterize a drone is really effectively as a flying computer. As a flying computer, you're therefore in a very strong position where you can transport data very quickly, very efficiently into a cloud environment. When you think about a drone working, say, as part of a broader team of drones, then the benefits, the scale benefits, actually grow very significantly. So when we try and distill this down, what would be, say, the four biggest benefits of deploying a drone relative to any other form of transport, then I would call out the following. Number one would be increased efficiency. Number two would be the ability to conduct this at a lower cost. Number three would be enhanced or improved safety. And number four would be some clear environmental or sustainability benefits. Well, I think the really exciting thing about the drone market, and certainly everything that we read when we were researching our piece, was that the use cases are potentially limitless or indefinite. Even today, when you strip out military, the drone market is estimated by most consultants as being worth something in the order of $15 billion in size. Given the growth potential and those potentially limitless opportunities, we could be at $100 billion of size by 2030. Just to call out for everyone a few areas where we're seeing really good drone deployment today, I'd highlight the following. The first area would perhaps be agriculture. If you think about the dynamic here, we've got a growing population that has increasing food needs. If, for example, you're deploying drones, their ability to spray fertilizer relative to having, say, a human or a piece of farm machinery doing this increases the efficiency of that fertilizer spraying by a factor of about 50. Then we move on and think about an example such as industry, and there are lots and lots of things that require remote maintenance. Take a turbine, for example. If a human were to go out and to check the safety and the operation of a turbine, they could probably plausibly do between 2, if they're very lucky, up to 5 turbines in a day. If you had drones doing it, that figure could grow comfortably 4 or 5-fold. Just to give 2 other examples, one might be the insurance space. Think about the cost of covering insurance, dealing with natural disasters. If you have drones flying out, analysing the damage, reporting back very quickly, very accurately, this can be incredibly beneficial. And then finally, think about the opportunity within healthcare. The COVID pandemic still very clear in everyone's minds. Think about the benefit of drones being able to transport pretty much anything, whether it's PPE, whether it's blood transfusions, whether it's actual COVID vaccines, to people in remote areas, and the benefits from drones should become very obvious. Probably the one area we haven't really talked about yet, where however we've probably seen most recent exciting commentary, has to be within the area of e-commerce. Perhaps not everyone's really familiar with this today, but already about 2,000 deliveries a day are being made by drones in terms of delivering e-commerce or goods to people practically. And that figure, just for reference, is up about 3 times relative to where it was a year ago. Most of this is in the US today. A lot was pioneered by Walmart. They started off doing drone deliveries in their home state of Arkansas. It's now spread to a number of different states in the US. Amazon, perhaps unsurprisingly, has followed suit. They now have a service called Prime Air. In the UK, Tesco's doing trials already with grocery. There are probably other similar trials around the world. It's not just food and beverage though. I can think of two other areas which are perhaps interesting. There are some postal and logistics businesses, take DHL or Swiss Post, and then finally one which may resonate with many people. How about having your pizza delivered by drone? There are trials underway by Domino's at present. Everything we're really characterizing today, whether it's the transportation of goods, whether it's inspection, whether it's even having your pizza delivered, this is really drones 1.0, if you will. Drones 2.0, and what many people think of as being the holy grail for the drone industry, and indeed where a lot of the capital is flowing today, is really into what many people characterize as vertical takeoff and landing devices that are able to transport humans. There are several trials underway at present. Again, perhaps the most advanced are in the US. There's a business called Joby Aviation that we've highlighted in a bit more detail in our accompanying published piece that's already doing trials. They're working with the US Air Force. They have notional partnerships with Uber and with a Japanese airline, and they hope to launch commercial services within the next 3 years. There are other similar developments underway in geographies around the world, including Singapore, Dubai, and France. The benefits of drones are very clear, and we've talked a lot about the efficiency and the cost savings that drones can bring. But the drone industry really won't take off, if you pardon the pun, without there being clear regulation in place. And this regulation really matters, whether it's about the safety in terms of how goods and people are transported, whether it's considerations about how drones interact with each other, if you will, in dense urban environments, how they're able to take off and land, again, say in city centres, how they may respond to adverse weather conditions, and also ensuring that there is no scenario where the cyber security or the security elements of drones could potentially be compromised. One other factor it's also important to consider is really this idea of noise levels. The clue is perhaps in the name. Drones can be very noisy, particularly if they're transporting or carrying heavier payloads, and again there may be certain sensitivities, perhaps which have to be enshrined in regulation or in protocol should drones be deployed more actively in urban areas. There's been a huge amount of interest in the industry in the last couple of years, and if you take data from most venture capital firms, you can see that about $5 billion has gone into this industry since the beginning of 2020. As a result, however, there are apparently somewhere between 100 and 150 drone startups today. This might suggest that the barriers to entry are relatively low, and logically it would seem that there will need to be some consolidation, or there will be some business failures. The challenge, of course, is that if you're a public equity investor, the opportunities within the drone area are much more limited today. If you exclude the military space, which obviously has certain sustainability or ethical elements, there are effectively no listed and profitable drone businesses today. When we think about drones though, we try and think about it laterally. If you come back to this idea of a drone as effectively being a computer that can be controlled remotely, that can transmit and potentially analyze data, then the obvious implication of this is that there will be more demand for data services, more demand for silicon, more demand for semiconductor chips, and everything that sits within that value chain. So that's where we think the near-term excitement is, but very much the message is, watch this space, drones are becoming reality. Thank you everyone for watching. I hope you found this interesting. If you'd like to read more, then our full piece on drones is available on Heptagon Capital's website. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate either to reach out to me or to your representative at Heptagon Capital. Thank you.